Welcome back, everyone, to week 10 in our Thriving in the New Normal series. I hope everybody has great plans for this weekend set up and everybody's looking forward to those. And I thought this would be a great way to get that weekend kicked off for most people. Today, we've got a topic that I think is near and dear to everybody's hearts, and it's high demand seasonal replacement sales in a challenging environment. And before we get started with going through the HVAC business cycle and talking about all of this, I really did want to talk about disruption in business and getting into that. And before we get into that, I want to just make sure everybody has the phone number 713-856-1853 programmed into their cell phone. Again, that's 713-856-1853. As we're going through our various topics, if you would like a deeper dive into that information that's being shared, please go ahead and text the corresponding phrase or word to the number, and it will give you an opportunity to be able to set up a one-on-one appointment at absolutely no charge, no obligation with one of our coaches that can dive deeper into the topic or the subject that we're going through. Also, I'd like everybody to open up their chat boxes and make sure that you're chatting on the screen so that we can answer questions live that you may have and that the presenters can adjust their presentations to make sure we cover the topics that you need us to cover. If you've missed any of our previous sessions that we have, please go ahead and go to the Goodman Business Toolbox or Amana Brand Business Academy. All of the sessions that have been recorded and are available for you to be able to watch and for you to have your team watch if there was a specific topic or a specific item that you wanted to make sure your team was aware of. So let's talk a little bit about disruption in business. We have all kinds of disruptions in life, and that is just part of the experience of life in and of itself, is things don't always go as planned. And whenever we have a disruption, whether it be a health or it be a financial disruption or it be something that's completely out of our control, there's an experience that we all have. And it's been outlined. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross actually put this together. A lot of you have heard of it as the 7 stages of grief. And so when we have that disruption first hit, there's that shock, there's that surprise, things aren't going as planned. And then immediately we move into a sense of denial, disbelief, and we're looking for ways that this is not true, in ways that I can not have to change and not have to do things different. Then we move into a little bit of frustration when we start to recognize that there are real things happening. And we get to the bottom of this, which is depression, where we have a low mood, we're lacking energy, and there's just not much will to get up and do much of anything. As we start to come out of this and we go out on the other side of this curve, now we start to experiment. And I think that's where a lot of us in business are right now in regards to this pandemic and everything that's going on. We're starting to experiment with new things, looking at different things. And that's why I'm so excited about today's topic, because we're going to talk about the experiments that many contractors are using today and they're finding are having success with as they deal with their customers. And then we start making decisions. We learn what's working in the new situation and we start to feel more positive. And finally, we integrate it. And that's what we mean really when we talk about a new normal. When we come out of this, many of our businesses are going to be stronger than they ever were before because of the time that we've taken to implement these new processes, to adapt new technology, and the new ways that we're interacting with our customer base that's out there. So I'm very excited as we get into this topic and we start walking through this and we start to look on the upswing of this as we begin to experiment, make decisions in our business, and then be able to integrate all of these solutions into our companies and into our business. So let's talk about our customer for life. So over the last couple of weeks, I've been really diving into this customer lifetime value. And we've been talking about the different aspects of it. And this is going to be our conclusion to the customer lifetime value as far as talking about this. And I'm more than happy to talk to anybody more in depth. If you'd like, you can go ahead and text either to the Goodman or the Amana, and you can reach out to our team and we'll be more than happy to give you tools and resources that you'd have or that you would like to have in regards to the customer lifetime value. So let's review a little bit. We've talked about the different types of customers. So we've talked about the freeloader, the one that's always looking for that special deal that you put out there. And what we notice with the freeloaders, a lot of times they have almost a negative value to the company. Then we have the prisoner, the one that has no other choice. You were the only one that picked up the phone or answered that was able to solve the problem that they had. Then we have the vacationer, the person that tries you out, but when another better deal comes along, they'll leave and go along with that better deal. And then we have the explorer, a person that's exploring options to be able to do more business with you and trying to find other different things that you have. And you look at the dollar amounts that are associated with each of these. Over the course of a lifetime, this is the net profitability. This is the money that you put in your pocket for each and every single one of these customers over the course of that life that they're with you. And that's really made up by two things. Number one is the amount of purchases that they make with you, and then it's the amount of time that they're engaged with you. So we look at the customer retention, we look at the customer purchases, and we take that over a period of time, and we take all of our expenses out, and that gives us that customer lifetime value. When we look at the model at the bottom, so the marketing programs drive three actions. They drive our customer acquisition strategies, and we talked about that. I can increase my market size. I can increase the effectiveness of my programs. I can generate more positive feedback with everything that I'm doing. And then I get into my customer retention. And we have different levels of customers. And so in our example, if we had 30% of our customers that were leaving us every single year, 10% are going to leave because they're dissatisfied. 10% are going to leave deliberative because they found a better deal or something else out there. And 10% are going to leave because of lifestyle. Maybe they're no longer a homeowner or they've moved out of the area. And so we know that we're going to have some sort of attrition that's happening in our customer. What I want to talk about today is customer development. And when we talk about customer development, there's three things that we want to look at with those existing customers that's going to change the value that those customers have, and it could even change the retention because of the engagement that we get with them. So number one is share of wallet. And when we think of share of wallet, I think in the HVAC industry, a lot of times people look at me and they ask, well, what do you mean? And so when we look at IAQ, for example, we know a majority of the customers, the homeowners out there, don't even know that the HVAC contractor has IAQ solutions because we don't talk about it. So they go to the big box stores, they go to retail, they go to the internet to try to solve the problems for the allergy, the hay fever, the sinus conditions, the comfort issues that they have, because we haven't provided those solutions for them or we haven't talked to them about those solutions that we have available. On the flip side of that, we also know that customers are very interested in home automation. How can I make a smart home? And we have a lot of tools and resources available as HVAC contractors to help bring them into that smart home side of things. Again, a lot of our customers are going to retail. They're going onto the internet. They're going into places like Best Buy and the Geek Squad. They're going to their cable company and asking all of these people outside of the HVAC industry to put in thermostats. So what is your true share of wallet that you have with your customers? Your customers will spend a certain amount of money on HVAC related products. And what sort of share of wallet do you have with your consumers that you're currently interacting with and you're working with? Then we look at cross-selling opportunities. Many of you don't just do HVAC. There's several on this call that may have a plumbing department. And so how can we get our customers engaged with HVAC into our plumbing side? Or maybe you have a solar wing, or maybe you have an electrical wing that you've put together. And these are all opportunities to be able to cross-sell both back and forth between the HVAC into the electrical plumbing and the plumbing and electrical back into the HVAC, but tie these customers into a whole entire experience. And again, the Explorer is the customer that's actually going to engage in this strategy with you, but this is where we have an opportunity with the Vacationer to get them to be more of an Explorer and move them into that category that we want them to be then. And then redefining the business. And I think when we look in the scope of this pandemic that we're in, there's a lot of opportunities that we have to redefine what the value proposition is, what the products, what the services are that we offer. And you can emerge out of this with a whole new area to be able to go out and work and solve problems and challenges for your customers. So as I close up this whole customer lifetime value segment that we've gone through, what I would really like you to do is reflect back on it and look at where do you feel your customers are. Do you have a majority of freeloaders? Do you have a majority of prisoners that are coming to you, vacationers? Do you have a good group of explorers that are maybe involved in some sort of a reoccurring revenue stream, such as maintenance agreements or such as home automation that you've gotten them involved with? What are you doing for customer acquisition strategies? So what different things are you doing there? What about your customer retention? Why are your customers leaving you? And use that net promoter score that we talked about last week. On a scale of 0 to 10, how likely are you to recommend our company? If the answer is 0 to 6, they're a detractor. They're taken away from your business. 7 to 8, they're neutral. 9 to 10, these are the customers that are the promoters, and those are the customers. And so how do those percentages break down? And what is the percentage of detractors to the percentage of promoters that you have? What can you do to get more promoters of your business that you have out there? And then finally, what are you going to do to develop the relationship you have with your customers? So I want you to think through those things as we get into this program. And with that being said, I'm going to turn things over to Mr. Plugoff and have him talk about the gap analysis and what we need to do with our business. Matt?
Yep. Howdy. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for your time as always. So somehow it's June, right? I mean, somehow we've made it to June. And I was looking at my old day planner before getting ready for this presentation. I realized I was supposed to be in Jacksonville this week, right? I was supposed to be all the way across the country doing my normal jive. And, suffice it to say that last September, November, October, doing my business planning, I thought I had a game plan for this year. I thought this was going to be a pretty standard year, and I could kind of forecast my income and client acquisition strategies, and travel, and, all the stuff I've been used to doing for so long. And like a lot of you, there's a sense of security in being able to plan and look down the road and anticipate not only who you'll be seeing, but what you'll be making and how you're going to keep growing the business. And clearly that all went right out the window. But we have survived as a group for 6 months of this year so far. And I'm so happy and proud to say that. We're all here and we're all moving forward. That's awesome. The purpose of a gap analysis, though, and this is what I'm going to be doing over this weekend, is to help you create a strategy and implement the tactics necessary to bridge the gap between where you are and where you want to be, or should be, or plan to be. I don't think there's anybody on this call that couldn't step back and say, I thought I'd be here, but now I'm someplace radically different. And what am I actually going to proactively do, right? What new decisions am I going to make to try and get my company back to baseline, to try and get my sales efforts back to baseline, or even ahead of baseline? And what's cool about that is it's not a passive activity, right? I think going into summer, my emphatic encouragement is to make the decisions that help you regain, retain, and exercise control over your company. Let's not look at the next 6 months as cross our fingers. Let's make the right decisions. Let's identify the gaps, and let's take the steps necessary to bridge it to the best extent possible. So to begin with, number one, a gap analysis starts by identifying the needs or the demand in the gap. Now, there have been significant environmental disruptions in terms of virtual selling, zero contact service. Lead production has changed. Your sales results may not be to the target that you wanted. Revenue production may have suffered. You may be still going through the process of integrating technology into your business. And certainly you're going to have to think differently about how you acquire and retain new customers. But in considering these criteria, you then create a foundation, a behavioral foundation and a financial foundation from which you can build. Ben? Thank you very much. Second, you have to establish what your present status is. Once you know where you want to be, you then have to say, well, from all of those criteria up until now, what's in my pipeline? And that's a really important question, right? If nothing changed, what is in my current pipeline of business right now? And when realistically is it going to leave the pipeline? Now, this is an important point because trends extrapolate. You may say, well, I'm only $10,000 off of my plan. Just pick a number based on where I thought I'd be. And at a surface level, that doesn't seem like that much money. But trends tend to extrapolate. And if you're $10,000 off plan right now, and if you don't do anything, that number then becomes $40,000 in a given period of time, and then $80,000 in an additional period of time. So you have to be aware that the gap is not just a hermetic number, it's also influenced by trends, and that those trends will continue to extrapolate unless new behaviors are taken. So you have to then figure out what your present status is. And then finally, and this is the best part, and this is where the action happens, compare and reconcile steps 1 and 2. All right? To the best extent possible, what do you need to do to close the performance gaps that have been created in your business? For circumstances, by the way, that are largely not in your control. What can you do to close the gap, right? And that's a difference. You know what you need to, but then you also have to be pragmatic and say, oh, these are the resources I've got. If I had $100,000 sitting around to do some aggressive marketing, advertising, web campaign, I would, but I can't. So what can I do with the resources that I've got that you feel are going to have the greatest impact? And then practically speaking, what are the tactics? Right? What are the daily things that you can do to take the right steps forward, given the resources you've got, to get incrementally closer, to stop the trends, and to help you start moving toward where you thought or wanted your business or your book of business to be here at the end of May? I look at the next 6 months as an opportunity for us, all of us, to continue to grow, but most importantly, to get proactive and to remember the old phrase that action cures fear. Action cures fear. So get after it. Have a fantastic Memorial Day. Much respect to everybody. You know how to find me.
I love Matthew Plugoff. You are fantastic, my friend. I just did a webinar yesterday, and the webinar was titled The Entrepreneurial Mindset, and that's exactly what we were talking about. He's 100% on point. You can't give or create a plan without understanding where you are, where you want to go, and what is missing in the middle. And then what are you willing to do in order to get there? What kind of desire do you have? What kind of competence do you have? And what kind of capacity do you have to put those things together and make it happen? So let's go through what this gap analysis might be when you're looking at your digital store, your digital presence. In today's environment, the majority of the baby boomers have already bought a system. They're done, right? You have millennials and Gen Xers that are now essentially doing the same activities, but in a different way. Their model is different. Right now, the amount of information that's available on the internet, you're either participating in that game or you're not. So let's talk through what an interactive transactional website might look like. This is an example. On this site, you'll notice things that represent e-commerce, but I'm curious, you guys let me know in the chat, what do you see or what do you believe e-commerce means? What does it mean to you? Feel free in the chat, throw out the things that you may see as what does e-commerce mean to you in this environment? As you guys are doing that, I'm going to go through what transactional and e-commerce and interactive look like in a digital format. If consumers are Googling it, if they're shopping online, we either are making these options available or we are not. We are either putting ourselves in a position 1 or on a page 1 and making our company available, or we are not. These two things need to be measured in that gap analysis as Matthew was talking about. So let's go through some of those simple items that make a website more transactional, interactive, and provide a better customer experience. 1, can they easily apply for financing? 2, can they book an appointment online? Can they schedule at 7 p.m. when they're done working, at 2 in the morning with the little ping pong balls are going off in their head, going through their checklist of things they need to get done that they might have forgot earlier? Can they request a service Can they request an estimate? Can they make a payment? Can they check out promotions? Can they shop online? Can they easily view the services you sell in the cities you sell them? Do they have the ability to come to your website and start doing some of that initial research that everyone wants to do when they're about to make a buying decision or contemplating making one? Can they go look through your heating and cooling options, give a good estimate of square feet, determine where their system is, what type of system it may be, and can they get some kind of an estimate or guesstimate on what the options might be? Right now, we already know that they have the ability to shop online. They can go to Amazon, they can put in a model number, they can put in a unit information, and they can get any price that they want. So the name of the game is transparency at this point. Do they have the ability to get an idea of what this might look like, what they might need to add on? Are there warranty options available? Can they pay on a monthly financing payment? Are you making this easy for them? Or is your competitor making it easy for them? In addition, as we go through the kinds of things that people want to be able to do when they go to a website, having some kind of a shopping center or an e-commerce area that allows you to do other functions, such as simply go look through filters that are available and be able to put them on auto ship or order them directly from your website. What about UV lights? Do you make it easy for them to find out what kind of maintenance plans you have available? And do they have the ability to sign up online? Can they choose their payment option? Do they have the ability to put in a monthly or annual or biannual or quarterly payment option, whatever works for them? Are we making it easy? Can they view different system options? Or can they simply make a payment on an invoice that maybe they received via the mail? These are all common courtesies to offer customers in today's environment. They're things they're used to having everywhere else in their life. Having the ability to schedule an appointment, reschedule an appointment, cancel an appointment, to view who's coming out to their home, to check out what kind of promotions you may have available. These, again, are all common courtesies. Being able to chat at any time and get information or set up an appointment. You guys, in today's environment, there's no reason that we shouldn't provide our customers with the ability to go figure some things out on their own. It's going to save you time. And trust me, they're doing it already. They're already going and looking at what would it look like to install a ductless system? What are my options? The company who is on page 1 of Google when they're searching for solutions, and the company that provides the easiest way, the easiest experience for them to do their research, see what other people think about you, make a buying decision. That's who wins the business. This pandemic has nothing to do with what we need to do right now. We technically should have already done it. The industry as a whole is behind. Consumers have been buying into the process of having information and ease of transactions available to them for years. If I ask any audience how many of you are on Amazon Prime, 90% of the room is going to say, yes, I have a membership. In fact, my wife is a fanatic. Everything comes from there. So why shouldn't what you do? Why shouldn't it be easier for you to provide your prospective customers with an easy way to be able to find you, schedule an appointment, do their research, leave a review, request an estimate, get a quote, reschedule an appointment, all of these common conveniences that people are used to. An informational site designed with mass amounts of content to get you ranked on page 1 of Google, that's a piece of the pie, because having a great experience doesn't matter if no one can find you. But once you're on page 1 of Google, now we need to seriously look at Who are we and what are we offering? Go through that gap analysis. Identify exactly what Matthew was talking about for all of the main pieces of functionality that should be part of your everyday operation. Do they exist or do they not? And pick one. Pick something to do different, to do better, to add, to make it more interactive, to improve that customer experience. And you guys, if you want help, reach out. Just text Web to your main line and let's jump on a one-on-one call and talk about how we can make this a much better digital experience for human beings who want to work with you. Let's make it easy. With that, I'll hand it over to Power Selling Pros.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. I'm a new face this week. I'm Zach Garside. I'm the marketing director here at Power Selling Pros, stepping in for Brigham today. One of the things Jennifer said that ties in really well with what I want to talk about is she mentioned the need for transparency and ease, really creating an effortless experience for the customer. And so today we're going to talk specifically about how to reschedule customers and upsell over the phone. And if we could get the slides up here for how to reschedule and upsell over the phone, that would be awesome. Ben, do you think you can help me out with that?
Ben, we're not hearing you and you're not sharing your screen. Hey, Jennifer, maybe you could take over on the presenter side if you can get the slides up. Stand by. It's not your fault, Zach.
I was just going to send a message to Ben, but yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah, let me know when you guys are good. When we're good. I'm still seeing. I'm seeing Metro heating and AC. Is that what we're also seeing on the screen?
Nope.
Oh, you're seeing my slides.
Nope.
Nope. Blackness.
Good to go?
It shows Ben Middleton has started screen sharing, but we've lost him, it looks like. Have you got screen sharing going, Jen?
I do. Can you see my screen?
Nope.
Okay, let me see if I can take over from Ben.
Tell you what, if it
All right, try that.
No, I think it's frozen on Ben being the, looks like his video has frozen too.
All right, I'm gonna try one more time. You guys, you love technology when it works, right?
You know, it's pretty amazing for 10 sessions. We've been pretty good about making this stuff work, but it looks like we're having a little trouble on this one. Sorry about that, folks. Hang in there.
All right.
There you are. We got you. There you go. The problem. There you go.
there we go. All right.
Thanks, Jennifer.
So, yeah, thank you so much. So let's talk about this really quick. The problem we want to address here is you need to reschedule a customer's appointment without them wanting to call someone else and resent your company. And in order to do that, there are a couple of rules that we want to follow. First and foremost, if we could go ahead to, is you have to remember that the customer is not a moron. She's your wife. That's a quote from David Ogilvy, a late advertising genius. Back in the 1950s, when advertising was screaming specials and discounts and sign up now, it was very salesy, treated customers kind of like they were dumb. And Mr. Ogilvy came in and said, customers are not morons. They're your wife. They're intelligent. They're very smart. And so going back to Jennifer's comments, we need to be transparent with people and treat them for who they are. They are intelligent. They are smart. And with that, you got to be honest and over-communicate when you're breaking bad news. When you're trying to reschedule an appointment, you've got to be honest, over-communicate. Call them every day to update them on the status of their appointment. If you have to move them from today to Friday, don't just reschedule and then show up on Friday. You've got to call every day and over-communicate to show the customer how important they are. Here's what it looks like in action. Okay, we're going to go over a little bit of a script here to show what this sounds like when you realize we don't have the equipment or we don't have the tools or the time or the capacity to fulfill on this appointment today. Here's what we are going to say to the customer. First, you've got to have a positive, optimistic greeting. Hey, Mr. Johnson, this is Zach with ABC Plumbing. Thanks for taking my call. I want to let you know we have you on the schedule for this afternoon at 2 o'clock. So let them know what you've got them on for. And then you've got to show that you care about their appointment and that it's urgent to you. And let them know, Mr. Johnson, we want to get you taken care of as quickly as possible, and that's why I'm giving you a call today. Okay, we've had a situation come up, and you let them know what's going on. Again, full transparency here. Customers will appreciate the fact that you're transparent with them, and they'll appreciate it when you jump in. One of the mistakes a lot of companies make is they will make small talk with the customer. Hey, how's it going? How's your day? I hope everything's going well. Crazy weather, right? And when this small talk starts conversation, customers actually feel betrayed by you when you make small talk and then give them the bad news because they feel like you're just buttering them up. So go right into it. Let them know we want to get you taken care of as quickly as possible. We've had a situation come up, and let them know why you can't meet the expectation you set in the first place. Okay? Then offer the new appointment time. Let them know what I want to do, Mr. Johnson, is get you on the schedule for tomorrow at noon or 2 days from now at noon. Can we go ahead and book that appointment for you? And remind them that they're a priority. The reason you're doing this is to help them. It's to get them taken care of as quickly as possible. And by communicating that to them, you reduce the risk of them resenting you and wanting to call someone else. And then, again, you see there in bold letters, offer a call with a confirmation or update. You've got to call them every day. Hey, Mr. Johnson, I gave you a call yesterday. Just wanted to let you know our technicians are still working like crazy, and we're trying to get out to you as soon as possible. We've got you on the schedule for tomorrow. If something happens sooner, we will call and let you know. Okay? Over-communicate with these customers. Be honest and fully transparent with them, and show your sincere gratitude. As a bonus, I want to also show you really quickly how to upsell over the phone without immediately being told no thanks. Because here's what we hear a lot of over the phone. What we hear a lot of is, all right, Mr. Johnson, we've got you on the schedule. Is there anything else we can help you with? And 99% of the time, the answer is, no thanks, you've been great. Appreciate it, we'll see you tomorrow. But a better question to ask is, Mr. Johnson, just so you know, here at ABC Plumbing and Heating, we also do duct cleaning. We also provide indoor air quality products so that you have cleaner air in your home. Is there anything else we can do for you? And now by letting the customer know what you do, they can answer the question, is there anything else we can help you with? Because if you ask without telling them beforehand what else you do, of course they're going to say no. So to offer more products over the phone, make sure that you tell them what you offer. And I have a feeling that what you're about to hear next from David Holt is going to help you with knowing what to offer over the phone. Make sure you text POWER to 713-856-1853. The outbound rescheduling script I just went over is right there on our HVAC Business Cycle webpage, so you can go and read it there, share it with your team. It's also got some objection handling tools there for you as well. No opt-in form, just go there and take advantage of it, read it right on the page. That's all I got.
Unmute.
There you go. So thanks, Zach. Appreciate that. It's good stuff. We are getting around the corner on this thing. So we got a problem identified, right? We know what's going on. How you communicate a situation where you are out of equipment or out of time, as in labor, or out of material is critical. How we do this, how we deal with a pre-sold situation is critical in this time. So when you don't have enough labor to fulfill your customers' expectations, they want it tomorrow, yes, right? They want it tomorrow. Well, what if you've got 3 weeks worth of work already pre-sold? Well, if you call it pre-sold as opposed to I'm 3 weeks behind, see, 3 weeks behind sounds like you're not in a good shape. You're not in a good position. 3 weeks pre-sold says, I am in such high demand that I got people waiting in line for my business. I just went to go get lunch before this call, and I went down the street to Chick-fil-A, and they had cars wrapped around their building, 2 lines, and a whole bunch of people in the parking lot having food delivered to their car in the parking lot. And people were waiting in line. They got all kind of material, right? But what we have in our situation is we got a limited amount of labor. We've only got so many hours in the day. We've got a limited amount of equipment, and some of that's getting even harder and harder to come across just because, just like the toilet paper issue that we've been experiencing, some people are actually hoarding equipment. So we got to think about, okay, if I'm short on labor, if I'm short on equipment, if I'm short on materials, what about IAQ products? Try to buy an IAQ product lately? Pretty short on supply as well. What do you do? What do you do? So let's look, I got 5 different ideas I want you to think about. Idea number 1 has to do with safety, right? So as we think about safety, you think about anything to do with safety, and the easiest kind of safety example that I can come up with is, what about if you had a gas furnace in a person's home and it had a busted up heat exchanger, or it had busted up venting systems, and we were dumping carbon monoxide into the home? Much better from a safety standpoint to provide a temporary heating solution than leave an unsafe unit running, right? So from a safety standpoint, being prepared to have temporary systems that you can apply for your customer, that you can bring to the table for your customer. Back in the day, when my dad was owner of Holt Service Company in Columbus, Georgia, where I live, we had temporary heaters. So during the winter months, we had our logos stenciled on them. So, you know, they knew they were ours, number one. They had serial numbers that we printed on them so that they, again, knew that they were ours. And we checked them out just like you would check out a book in the library. We would check them out to a job, and we would put 2 or 3 unit heaters in someone's house, or space heaters in someone's house, to keep them warm during the colder months if we were pre-sold, to the extent that they might have to spend 3 or 4 nights without their replacement equipment. So having a plan, especially as it relates to safety, because safety is not optional. Being comfortable actually is optional, but when it becomes unsafe, we got to be able to solve that problem right away. So let's look at the health aspects of it. So what if they have a health issue, right? Let's say they got a problem with air quality. And when you're trying to deal with health issues, if we could go to the next slide real quick, if we go to health issues, there's a whole lot of IAQ products that are out there on the market that aren't available right now because, again, they're going like hotcakes. Well, how do you solve IAQ problems when traditional IAQ products aren't available? Well, actually a very underlooked, overlooked opportunity is to bring fresh air into the house. Okay, my buddy John Ellis took over for me for the last 2 weeks in this slot, and I really appreciate him doing that because that guy's an IAQ expert. He knows what he's talking about. And part of what he talked about in the last session was he talked about, hey man, ventilation. Ventilation, it's kind of important. Well, it's really easy if you understand how to do this, and it's not really difficult to do. It's real easy to introduce fresh air through the HVAC system for a ducted system. It's really kind of simple, right? So if you understand how to do that, you can actually start solving some health issues. So what about comfort? From a comfort standpoint, I mean, we got a crazy looking orange box over here. Can you imagine somebody putting something like that next to their house and leave it there? No. Well, this is something I learned a long time ago, back in the 90s. We actually had equipment that we had taken off of people's homes. We were pretty proactive in how we did our sales process, and we were upgrading people's equipment before it broke down. Okay, so the equipment was functional, it was just old. So we were upgrading it before it broke down. Well, we didn't just throw that equipment that was functional into the trash heap. What we did is we told the installers, listen, we're going to take that one as a loaner. So when you pull it out, make sure you don't, leave a lot of copper filings and stuff like that. Cut the tubing off and don't use a hacksaw, right? Use your tubing cutters, put a cap back on it, sweat that cap on so that when we want to use it, we know we got a clean refrigerant system. Do not tear all the wires up. Be careful when you remove all the wires. We're going to take that unit. We brought it back to the shop. We cleaned it up, but then we painted it the most ugly orange that we could find. Why did we do that? Well, because we didn't want the customer to actually want us to keep it on the side of their house. But think about how much easier is it to change out a condensing unit than it is to go in and wait for 3 weeks to get the right condensing unit that the customer really wants and what they really deserve. How much better is it for me to put the customer on ice, right? In fact, window units, we used window units a lot. Again, we had our logos on it. We had a serial number on it. We had loaner cooling systems. So we call them temporary cooling units, right? And these temporary cooling units made a bunch of money for us because they were just running temporarily, right? We got them back up and running with as little effort as possible on our end, but we did it in such a way that the customer was saying, wow, you guys are going above and beyond. We love you guys. And we got maybe 3 or 4 weeks down the road before we got them on the schedule. I mean, they were on the schedule, but it was 3 or 4 weeks later that we were actually upgrading the rest of their system and putting in the equipment that they actually ordered. Sometimes it just wasn't available. Or more importantly, sometimes we weren't available. What about efficiency, right? What if a customer wants the higher efficiency equipment, and that higher efficiency equipment, which is in demand, in other words, not in stock, right? That high efficiency equipment that's high in demand is also going to keep you from completing a job that you would otherwise complete. Well, guess what? Same strategy. You can swap out a furnace pretty quick. Put a loaner in there, right? Put a temporary unit in there. Paint it ugly orange. Make sure they realize, no, this is not your furnace. This is my furnace. I'm loaning it to you. Now, here's what's cool. I was talking to our EGIA rep about financing this week earlier, or we were talking about it earlier this week. And one of the things I asked him as a contractor is I said, you know what? If I do that temporary cooling thing or that temporary heating thing, would I be able to actually get paid for that work and then get paid the rest of the job when the job was closed? I'm going to let Matthew talk about that in a little bit. So again, behind or pre-sold, what is it? The way you talk about this is going to make a big old difference. It's a mindset thing, right? But what we're trying to do in terms of maintenance here is we're trying to maintain that relationship with our customers and with the distributors, because guess what? The challenges you're facing, they're facing it too. So we're in this together. And what we have to do as a team is figure out how can we make the best of a bad situation. So with that, I'm going to turn this thing over to my good buddy, Tom Whitman, and he's going to knock it home and tell you how to measure some KPIs to ensure you're staying on track. Tom, it's up to you, bud.
Thank you, David. Appreciate that. Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for logging in. We're going to talk about replacement sales a bit, and then a few other things that I think are very relevant when it comes to that. So when we talk about key performance indicators, there is a performance indicator that the industry standard has adopted. But I want to caution you, just because they're indicators does not necessarily mean that they're critical performance measures for your organization. So these are just loose guidelines that'll dial you into whether or not you're within range. I wouldn't rely on them for absolute, you need to make sure that the key performance indicators that you put in place supports the financial structure of your business. So let's go through. We're going to focus on replacement sales first, right? So first thing that we want, if you could advance the slide, please. The first thing we want to make sure of is that we're in front of enough homeowners. So presentations. On average, we're looking at 2 to 3 presentations per day. That seems to be when we're visiting a home live, 60 to 90 minutes. When they're able to work the process in the home, 2 to 3 seems to be a manageable range. But I see that 2 to 3 maybe changing a bit and shifting a bit with the way people are buying today. And we'll get into that in a moment. But for right now, about 2 to 3 per day. Closing percentage. Open leads, meaning from the general marketplace, we want 50% or better, 50. a new homeowner that's engaging with our company for the first time that wants a price on replacing their system, if we follow this process, 50% or better should close. And I'm not sure where this 30 or 35% came with, but it's 50. Average sale, we're talking about $8,000 or greater, depending upon your sales plan. We need to make sure that that number represents what your company needs to surpass break even by the second or third week of every month, okay? And then finally, sales volume is super important, okay? Sales volume should surpass the break even by the second or third week of every month. That's where the volume comes up with, okay? Let's go to the next one real quick, Ben. All right. Next is installed revenue per day, right? If we sell it right, we need to make sure that we install it profitably. So we need to install installed revenue per day and get it right the first time. Combination of those two things with our install crews. Very simple to track. Okay, the daily installed labor budget plus payroll burden divided by 0.08, it's usually around $6,000 per crew per day. Number one, instead of booking that schedule for installed jobs to fill up the schedule, let's fill that schedule for installed dollars per day and make sure that installed dollars per day per crew is going to support the financial requirements of your company. We can help you rifle that in a little bit. Now, we'll spend a little bit of time on selling in a way that homeowners want to buy. This is going to go right on the sure tails of what Jennifer had talked about. She has a great method to get the customer interested. They could do a little bit of homework, but what if you had a portal where you could say, virtually talk to a comfort advisor, right? So this is virtual selling process. We've ran about 40 people through this program, or I should say people, companies through this program so far. Most of them are selling virtual. They're averaging somewhere between 55 to 65% closing. And out of everybody that's calling in right now, given the option to an on-site or virtual, we're tracking about 38 to 42% of customers preferring to have a virtual experience and interaction first. Man, I see this as an awesome segue from the customer that comes online to research equipment, and then we're able to speak to a professional comfort advisor. Now click the button, that'll go right into your virtual sales team. More on that a little bit later. I know we're running a little bit behind. So first of all, there is a free Zoom workshop this Wednesday, May 27th at 9 o'clock on how to build a profitable replacement sales team. Okay, go to HVAC Coaching Corner and just click in, and we'll to classes, and then we'll gives you the information to go ahead and log into the Zoom. I want to say a shout out to everybody that came to the service class last week. A lot of you went through, read the videos. It was great. And with that, I'm going to pass it off to Matthew Braxis.
Thank you, Tom. I really appreciate that. Great stuff. Wow. This whole series has been great stuff. I want to thank everybody for jumping in. Tons of great information. I want to go to one of the things that David Holt very nicely teed up for me. I want to talk about managing your cash flow. So when David was talking about offering them temporary solutions until you can come up with the best solution, I want to talk about a couple of banks that we work with that could really work for you in that particular way. And the first one I want to make sure we are aware of is GreenSky. One of the advantages for GreenSky is that if you need, you have the ability to take up to, well, you could take a partial payment on an approval. So if a customer applies and gets approved for $20,000 and your job is $10,000, but you're waiting for that piece of equipment that you don't have because they do want to get that 16 SEER 2 or that 18 SEER, you can take 20% of that upfront right from the on the customer's account, and you'll be able to actually put in the temporary solution for them and keep your cash flow going. It'll help you with your payroll. It'll help you with your upfront costs. Then when you come back 30 days later, 6 weeks later, whatever the process might be, again, going back to David Holt's and NCI's explanation or presentation, Then you can come back, bring the customer back to the remainder of the balance, put in the full unit that you've got going on, and now the customer is made whole. It's a great opportunity for any time you need to do that cash flow. The other thing that's amazing about GreenSky that I want to take that make sure that you want to take advantage of is the minimum approval is $3,500. So people are just going to start assuming that because the minimum approval is $3,500, that's as small as you can do. That's not the case. With GreenSky, your minimum approval is $3,500, but you can process as small a payment as you'd like on the GreenSky program. So just because the customer gets approved for $3,500, if you need to just do repair for using financing, if you need to just do a smaller portion of the job or a smaller job at all, you can go down to $25 if you really want to. Now, I'm sure nobody, especially GreenSky, is excited about you doing a $25 financing job. But the fact of the matter is you don't have limits on how small you can do, and you can take the money up front, and you have up to 6 months with GreenSky to take an additional draw if you need to help that customer out. It's a great opportunity. It's one of the biggest advantages to GreenSky. If we look at the next lender I want to talk about, it's Mosaic. Mosaic is the exact same program. Now, it's not built in and quite as easy as it is with GreenSky. When we get you signed up for Mosaic, we have to make sure that they turn that availability on for you. But it's a great contact-free experience. So I've been hearing people talking about doing things virtually. Tom just spoke about the entire sales process being virtual. One of the things that Mosaic does really well is a contact-free experience. If a customer wants to apply for the Mosaic program, they simply give you their phone number. You text them the information, and immediately the text pops up, and then they complete the entire application on their phone or their iPad or their home computer, and you don't have to be there. You don't have to contact them. You don't have to have any touch. It literally goes on their device. Talk about a true contract-free experience. And then when we get you set up with Mosaic, we can also get on the turned on where you can get 20% up front. The same way, if you're doing a $10,000 job, but the equipment's not in and you need a little bit more time, but you want to offer them a temporary solution, Mosaic has that flexibility to give you 20%. You can take up to 20% up front. So you could take $2,000 and give them a temporary solution to fix their situation and then come back around within 30 days and offer them the full solution. This is the kind of flexibility that we're trying to work with on our lenders to give you the right solution. Now, the other reason I picked Mosaic and GreenSky is because I have an exciting announcement. So Ben, roll to the next one. I have heard exactly all the cries and all the asks for a second look lender. As we know, the second look lenders have started going away, right? They've all frozen up. They've all kind of disappeared. We are really pleased to announce that we have just partnered with Mycroft. So available June 1st, and that is literally next week. So next week when we're on this and you show back up again, I'm going to go into significant details about the Mycroft platform. This is a great platform right now for you to get a second look. If you're getting turn downs, you need to take a look at that second look solution, and EGIA, Goodman Amana are bringing you those solutions right now. Available June 1st. There is no minimum credit score. Don't go too fast. I got a minute or two. It's going to waterfall directly with GreenSky. So if you are already using GreenSky or you want to get the GreenSky solution because of that ability to take partial payments, now you can sign with Mycroft instantaneously and on the same application, on the same soft credit pull. So it doesn't hit a customer's credit. You're going to get a GreenSky approval or a Mycroft approval. You will not virtually get a turn down unless the customer's got some significant issues. In most states, there's no dealer fee for Mycroft. I need to express that again. There's only 8 states that have a dealer fee, and those 8 states, the dealer fee is 5% for the second look. 5%. In the other 40-some states, we're literally looking at 0 dealer fee through the EGIA network. really excited about this. Please reach out to us next week. We want to get you started. With that, I've teased it enough. I'm going to throw it back to Ben if you're ready.
Thank you so much, Matthew. I really appreciate everybody tuning in today. As everybody can see, there's a high emphasis on change, looking at things differently, embracing technology. I want everybody to think about what is that digital experience that you want your customers to have? What sort of technology do you need to embrace to create that full e-commerce experience for your customers where they can do all of the things that they normally did to interact with you with business just in an electronic environment? And as we go into Memorial Day, I want everybody to think about their friends, their family, and I want you to continue to thank your employees for all that they do. Encourage your people as we go through this time. We know everybody's going through that cycle that was laid out in the 7 stages of grief, and make sure that you keep that in mind when you see that maybe tempers are getting a little bit short with some of the people that you're working with, when you see that people are frustrated because this isn't the way that I've always done it in the past. And we will come out on the other side with every company being stronger, being more productive, being more efficient, and everybody having a better quality of life. Thank you so much. Enjoy your Memorial Day. We'll see everybody next Friday.
Yeah, we want to flatten that curve, man. Go the other way.
Thank you all.
Have a great one.